And then, okay, I guess we're live. What's up, everybody? I'm Dustin Coiner from TrackDaz here in SoCal and the Talkin Motorbikes show. And tonight I'm talking motorbikes with a fucking dude that's been racing pro like since NAMM, Hawk Mazzotta. What is up, Hawk?
What's up, buddy? Oh man, you're making me sound really old, but I guess I am, right?
Dude, you're in your 40s. Like,
Yeah,
you're not as
it's
old
my
as me.
prime.
So, I mean, I'm like, you know,
What are you, like 45?
47. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You're just a young
Yeah.
buck. We're in our 40s, dude. It's our prime.
Yeah. Keep telling me that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know what, man? Like, we were talking offline a little bit, but like, I remember you back in the day at Willow Springs, you'd come out and you were like the Bravo condoms dude. Like, you had this ability to get out of the industry sponsors for yourself all the way, like, from the jump, basically. So, tell me a little bit about that, man. Like, you know, your experience in that bringing in the outside sponsor to the sport.
Well, that was my brother, so that was an easy
Oh,
one.
that
Yeah.
works. Yeah.
Are you all good on your? I'm so bad at technology. I can't see you anymore. Is that all right?
I could see you just fine, dude.
Okay.
And I
Okay. Cool, man.
think the audience can see you as well, bud.
Yeah. You just disappeared. So okay. Um, Yeah, man. So right around the time I came back into racing in 2007, because I stopped racing in 2003, my brother had started up that business, Bravo. So it was just cool timing for me coming back in the sport and sort of what his approach to the Bravo condoms was, that target audience, and the demographic was perfect for what I did, and his approach was through the extreme sports world. So it was a cool team up. Being brothers, we're super close, and getting to sort of ride that together. He sponsored me. He
Yeah.
sponsored other guys in all the extreme sports, really, and I was able to, um, line him up with those kinds of athletes, and it was rad, man. And it was a pretty neat thing he did. It's something that's super needed. And making, the whole thing was, it's like, and it's, in this day and age, his whole thing was making the condom cool and making it talk about it, man. Like, you know,
So you,
I
you
know
so
I
you
didn't
did
have sex ed
so
in
you,
high
so
school. I didn't
you
even have
did
sex
a
ed.
you did a lot of R&D for that company.
Yeah, man, I was in the back rooms all the time. It's an
Nice.
important part of it, R&D.
Yeah.
But it was like one of those things. Really, it's like we need to be able to talk about this stuff and make it cool. Like not such
Yeah.
a condoms or be embarrassed to buy a freaking condom. You know,
Yeah.
like Red Bull and all these energy drinks, kids are drinking them. So it was pretty funny. Just random story while we're talking about Bravo condoms. I think we were at Road America, and we were pitted right across from the Red Bull semi truck. And I think they had Red Bull Rookie Cup.
Yeah.
And so we had the Bravo condoms easy up and all the stuff, and everything was super professional that they did do. It wasn't
Yeah.
hokey by any means, but we got complaints from I don't know who, but the Red Bull, because like, oh, we don't want Bravo condoms pitted across from the Red Bull Rookies Cups. It's kids. We're like,
You're like, those are the
what?
kids. They're 16, dude. Like,
Yeah. I mean, come on, kids don't know what condoms are. And anyways, man, it was yeah,
no,
that
man,
was
they're
that was
European, dude. They just leave it in, dude. Like, no worries.
yeah, totally.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
it was fun. It was a good sponsor.
That's funny, man. That Okay, so you said you were out of racing. Like, when did you actually start racing?
I started in 1998. I knew nothing about road racing, Dustin. Nothing, man. Like I grew up in Wayne, Northern California. Well, where I live now.
You should say
People
hella
don't
north.
know.
You were living in hella north.
No,
Cal.
that's just what people think Northern people of California say.
I don't know. I grew up in Northern California too, bro. And like we said hella all the time.
Yeah, that was a phase, but that's super lame.
Uh-huh.
That's not cool.
Yeah.
Don't say hello. Where in Northern California did you grow up?
Do you know where Blue Lakes is?
I don't.
Ukiah?
Yeah, on the coast.
Yeah, like
Almost the coast.
well, yeah. So
Oh, Blue Lake. Yeah, man. It
yeah,
passed
bro.
several
Like
towns. So
Highway
I drove
20.
Highway 20.
Yeah.
Freaking Highway 20. Yep.
Yep.
I drove that a lot. Okay, cool. That's a cool area.
Yeah, that's kind of where we lived. So I mean, it was,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, growing up living in that area, it's like I guess you could say there was hella weed. Like
Yes.
it
Yes,
was
that's what
definitely
happens up here.
weed country and
Oh,
dirt
yeah.
bikes,
Yeah. And the
pretty
two
much.
in hand. A lot of people growing weed riding dirt bikes. Stolen
Yeah.
ones.
Yeah, I mean, like was it Bartlow's got it like his little school out
Yeah.
there in that
Yeah,
area, right?
he's in Clear
Upper
Lake or
Lake.
that area.
Upper Lake,
Yeah, Upper
yeah.
Lake. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like he
Yeah,
was
it's
telling
cool.
me, and I was like, dude, my little league was sponsored by that pizza place right down. And he's like, Treasure Cove?
Oh
I'm
yeah.
like, yeah, bro. Like, I
Oh, no way.
played little league for Treasure Cove Pizza back in the
Oh,
day.
that's
So
cool. Well,
yeah,
so
it's kind
you
of
are,
funny.
yeah, a NorCal guy. Most people think NorCal, like, oh, what do you, San Francisco or Sacramento? I'm like, no, dude,
Nah,
there's like a
dude.
lot more state of California still. Like
Yeah,
we're only a
basically
couple hours from Oregon.
beautiful area where the people that you just described go to visit in the summertime, but it's like
Yeah,
super poor, like very
it's old school, man.
yeah, dude. Like that area is it's crazy how many people buy homes in that area and stuff and vacation there in the summertime, but like it's a pretty depressed area most of the time, you know.
Yeah, and where you're talking about where you lived, you drive through
Yeah.
there and it's still, yeah, it's sort of the same. You got the big old
Yeah.
lake, but I'm stoked where I live. Redding is the city, right? And
Oh.
it's
Oh, you're
grown a
like
ton.
way north.
Yeah, yeah, we're way up here. So we grew up
You're by
outside of
McLeod,
Redding.
kind of. Or-
McLeod, yeah, that's the spot. That's my jam.
Yeah,
Love it up
dude.
there.
Yeah, I went to my friend Danny Salette and his wedding in McLeod, and I drove my wife through Upper Lake, the Highway
Uh-huh.
20 thing to get there from San Francisco.
Yep.
And Lily was like, "You used to live here?" I was like, "Yeah, dude."
Yeah. But
Yeah,
hey, you know what? Like I think that growing up in that kind of a place, you appreciate things a lot more and different things a lot more, right? I mean,
yeah,
you
I
get,
guess that's pretty correct. So
yeah.
yeah, like when did you get started, dude? Like you
Oh
said
yeah,
you came
sidetrack there.
back.
Sorry.
Yeah, so late 90 98. What WSMC or AFM or what?
Both. Yeah, yeah. So what happened, dude? So growing up where I did on a ranch, we had motorcycles as kids,
Yeah.
but it was just a tool. It was like a three-wheeler or two, whatever was laying around, and we'd mob around the ranch and check cattle and f off. When I moved to Monterey in fifth grade, Laguna Seca's right there. So I went out there at 15 years old, and there's a track day going on, and that was my first experience of road racing, and I just fell in love with it. And so that was 1998. Al Salveria, I don't know if you know Al Sal.
It's been a
Al
minute, dude.
Salveria, it was a Dennis Peglow track day. Remember
Oh
Dennis Peglow?
shit, dude.
Old
DP
school.
safety
Yeah,
school.
DP safety school. He was like the OG of track days, right? So Dennis Peglow out
Yeah.
of school, Joe Carrillo, Dan Organo. Anyways, there's a handful of guys out there, and I was just a dude who knew nothing about road racing. Period. And I was
Yeah.
watching, and Al Salveri, he's a 250 GP guy, very talented. Came over. He lived in San Fran. We just hit it off. He's like, "Dude, what's up?" And it's like, "Man, this is so cool." And I was picking his brain. He said, "You want to ride?" I was like, "What do you mean I want to ride?" He said, "I'll get on the back." I was like, "Yeah."
You
So
did a two up at Laguna.
I did the two up, and so he had another helmet. We were the same size, so he threw leathers and boots and gloves and helmet on me. I signed a waiver, and he took me around Laguna like pretty solid pace. And so that's how I started. 1998. He and I stayed in touch. He sort of got me lined out with a Honda RS 125. I did a couple track days, and I think one was at Streets of Willow, and then Laguna Seca, and then I went right into racing: CCS, AFM, WSMC, and that was '98.
So
I did some of that,
who
and
did you do your new racer school with?
WSMC.
So you had Farnsworth.
Yes, Farnsworth,
Yes.
Danny Farnsworth,
Fucking
right?
love that, dude.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So
Dan's,
like we were chewing the same dirt basically at the
yeah.
same time, bro, coming up.
What
And
was and what was the guy's name that ran the track days down there all the time?
Tom Sarah.
Tom Serra. There it
Yeah,
is.
dude.
Yep.
Yeah, so we definitely were chewing the same dirt, bro. Like we were probably a novice together. It's just
Yeah.
hilarious.
Yeah, yeah. I think it was
Um,
the same time.
Yeah, so Danny Farnsworth, like we joked about it, he's passed on, he died a few years ago.
I didn't
But
know that. Bummer.
yeah,
Okay.
like he if you remember Danny, he wasn't like the pillar of health, you know.
Sure.
But
Yep.
a couple things I remember about Danny is he had this like 1,000 yard stare and he would blink a lot. And then, back me up on this, dude. Did he tell you that turn 9 is mine thing where he dragged
Oh,
his
that's not.
toes?
That's pretty
And
rad.
and
No.
and then also don't hit the berm.
Yeah. Don't hit the berm.
Don't hit the berm. That's,
Oh man.
that's
He
like
claimed those, huh?
that ingrained into our skulls in New
Yeah.
Racer
Yeah.
School with Danny Farnsworth, right?
That's cool.
Yeah. So, back in the day at Willow, there would in that era, if you remember, there was like a whole two-stroke pit,
Oh
like
man. That's where it was
most of
at.
turn one, right? Like you'd roll
That's
through
right.
there, and it would be like 125s and 250s lined up and down,
It's the
the
best,
turn
man.
one area, and like you
Yeah.
could
It was
always
super.
spot them when they were out of their pit because they were dirty because they were always
Yep.
working on their, So
Wrench
I
on
was
stuff.
like,
That was just. I'm so thankful to have gotten to experience road racing the time I came into it. Like I'm
yeah,
very thankful because not that it's not really special now, but it's definitely different. It's changed so much, and I've had this exact talk with so many guys over the
yeah,
years. I just had this chat with Eric Bostrom
fucking
a
Eric,
month ago
dude.
or so. Of like, we're really blessed, dude, to have got to experience what we did,
Yeah,
and like those days. I mean, those paddocks were full, and
yeah.
I'd show up for a 125 race, and you had, I mean, you talk about a stacked grid at a club.
Vicky
Vicky
Jackson
Jackson
Bell.
Bell,
Yeah,
Jason
dude.
DeSalvo, Toby Jorgensen, Michael Hannes,
Ben
John Ulrich,
Spies.
Chris Ulrich, Ben
Ben
Spies,
Spies.
John
Yeah,
Hopkins. Like,
yeah.
dude, it was the Haydens. I think Roger Hayden was still doing it, I was, but like, it
Dude,
was
I
so stacked.
remember being at WSMC and I'm like just starting out, late 90s, and fucking Ben Bostrom was like in Ken Kramer's pit coaching us.
He was there
And
hanging
I was
out.
like,
Yeah,
what?
isn't that cool?
Yeah.
I'll never
So,
forget that. That was the first time I met Ben at
yeah.
Willow Springs. He
Yeah,
came.
me
We
too.
we somehow crossed paths, and I think it was. I don't remember how, because obviously we didn't have social media. We didn't have anything back then.
No, dude.
It was maybe. I think I just got a flip phone. Before that, I had a
Jixer.com in
pager.
2000,
Yeah,
like
and
the
I mean,
internet
so I don't.
forums.
I didn't have that. I still have AOL. Like I'm so old school.
Yeah, dude.
But Ben Boss showed up at the event and somehow came over to me, and I was trying to load up a Wells Fargo little trailer. I traveled around by myself at 16, and he's like, "Oh, dude, let me help you." And he helped me get the trailer on my truck on the ball.
Yep.
He's like, "I'm Ben Bosch." I was like, "Yeah, dude, I know. Whoa!" And he was just so cool, and I mean, like, but that was those guys, big
Yeah.
time guys everywhere, and it was just so I don't know, man, old school, right?
Dude, it's so cool that
Yeah,
like you and I shared some of that at the same time.
neat times.
We didn't really know each other. I just remember
Uh,
later, I was racing. I think I was racing at Streets on my Cowie 636 back then in '07,
yep,
and I remember you coming out, and I remember you being like the
yep,
Bravo condom guy, and I'm like, hey, who the fuck is that guy? Like I kind of
yeah,
remember the name, but I don't recognize him, and like we never really connected. But I do remember the Aprilia Cup Challenge. Like I wasn't a
yeah.
participant in
It was
that,
the best.
but I know you were there. I remember in that era, we were um, we were at Newcomb's Ranch. The OG Track Days guys. So it's like myself,
Okay.
Jimmy Avila, Gil Ramos, those guys, and we're up at Newcomb's, and some dude rolled up there on an Aprilia Cup bike. Like, why was he riding it on the street? I don't know, but he had like
Breaking her in.
the dirt bike triangle, on a backpack, and then he would
Yeah,
park and he just triangle it.
perfect. Yeah,
But I don't know. I mean, back then it was pretty common to see dudes on race bikes up at
yeah.
Newcomb's. Like we're morons, basically, right? Um, but you did the Aprilia Cup Challenge. Was that '99? Um,
99. Yep.
yeah, and another friend of mine, the paraplegic dude, Stu Goddard. he was in that too.
Dude,
I think I talked to you about this
he was a
online, but
badass. Yeah,
dude,
Stuart, man.
Stu God was the dude at Willow that like rode a 125 or something, and Tony Silvera would stand in the back and hold
Hold him
him.
up. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they'd Velcro him to the bike and everything, and he would roll.
Hardcore, man. Super
Yeah,
hard.
so he goes and he's in the Aprilia Cup Challenge. He's got a pretty good Moto Liberty or whatever sponsor back then, and
Hmm.
he eats shit pretty big. Like he got flung off the thing like a cartoon,
At
right?
Willow?
No, at Pocono that
Oh,
year on the Cup
Pocono. That was
Challenge.
the bad
Yeah,
one. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So it's a super bad one, and so this guy, the sense of humor on this guy, like he's telling the doctors or whatever, "Oh my God, I can't feel my legs," but they don't know he's been paraplegic since he was 16, dude.
What a dick. Yeah.
So
It's Stuart.
like he's just that kind of funny guy, you know. But
Yeah, he's
anyway,
sure a neat guy.
yeah. So you did the Cup Challenge. There were a bunch of dudes that did the Cup Challenge, right? The Aprilia,
Yeah, there was a handful. So,
John Hopkins,
yeah,
right?
that was 99, right. So, 98, 125, so it was right into, so, yeah, in 99, the guy, I guess, who sort of got my career started, honestly, Al Salveria linked me up with Donnie Lemlin, who owns Scuderia West, which is a dealership in San Francisco,
Yeah,
Aprilia dealer. Awesome guy, sort of like a father figure in my life. He approached me to race the Pro Cup, and so I was however old I was, 17 or something at that point.
yeah,
It was sort of one of those last minute deals. What's so cool is that I shot up to San Francisco. They just got the bike, and like, dude, we gotta break it in, brand new motor and stuff. So
yeah,
I rode the thing around San Francisco on the streets, and I just thought that was the coolest thing because it's not street legal. I was like, oh yeah, I'm a freaking rebel, and following those guys around, and we broke the bike in and scuffed the brakes in. They did a couple of things. We showed up at Laguna Seca, and that for me was huge. I was like going from CCS or AFM or WSMC to full blown. That was when it was World Superbike
yeah,
and AMA. It was,
yeah,
we're talking 100-some thousand people.
yeah,
I didn't know what I was doing. It's like, holy shit.
yeah.
And yeah, we showed up and we were up in the mix. It wasn't super, I mean, it was competitive, but there was John Hopkins, Andre Castanos, Jeep Turnova. No, there were some fast guys. There was fast guys. Greg White raced it.
Of course he did.
He crashed. He didn't actually end up racing, but there was fast guys. But it was cool, man. I got third to John Hopkins and Alex Gobert, Anthony Gobert's
Yeah,
little brother. And
Yeah.
Alex Gobert. And then that sort of, I guess, started the
And
career.
those guys, those guys went and did what they did, right? I mean,
Yeah,
John
man, it's
went and
so
MotoGP, and obviously, the other guy. I think he's still part of motorbikes somehow. I don't know if he does is he moto journalist, Alex? He
Alex
blew up, dude. Like last time I
Gobert's.
saw him, he
Yeah,
was
I
like
think he's doing something with. I don't know.
last time I saw him, dude. Like Alex had blown up, dude. Like he was like thick, like
Well, I mean,
eating a bunch of
if you're not racing
cheeseburgers.
anymore, and
Yeah.
like, that's what happens, man.
Yeah, dude.
It's like family life.
I was talking to Aaron Gobert, like maybe a year ago, and yeah,
What's he doing?
Well, the last time we talked, he was. I had just bought a T-shirt from him because he was selling T-shirts to help fundraise for
Anthony.
Anthony.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
read that.
to help move him to where kind of
Yeah,
closer to him,
yeah,
and they'd gone through some stuff, and I was pretty, relatively speaking, I was pretty okay with Aaron. Like Aaron was, he'd
Aaron's
come out and
cool.
ride at our track days and stuff.
Yeah,
Cool guy, and I remember him
yeah.
coming out at Willow, that first time and beating Chuck, and that's how he got his ride, basically,
Oh,
right?
Chuck Graves.
Yeah,
Yeah, Chuck is the
yeah,
man. Yeah.
yeah. So, um, yeah, it's pretty crazy that you were racing with those guys, and you mentioned Castanos. Like, I work with him at the Yamaha school still. Like,
Oh, no way.
yeah, dude. Yeah, the
Oh,
last
man.
couple years,
Andre's awesome.
yeah, it's such a good dude. Like we end
Yeah.
up working together with the Yamaha school. So
Okay.
yeah. Anyway, little
Oh,
like
that's
like how what is it, the 6 degrees of separation or whatever, right?
yeah.
So
Dude, there's all sorts of stuff. It's cool.
yeah,
be able to chat with you, because we haven't got to actually chat in so many years, that these are such cool memories in my life that
Yeah.
I mean, really special. And the guys that are brought up, like, oh man, like just cool cats and neat times of racing. And, when I feel like I caught the part of race, in my opinion, I caught the part of racing that still had that generation
Yes.
of absolute badasses.
Lunatics. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the
On
dudes
any
that were,
look, I tell my guy, the TrackDaz crew, they're most of them have been with me for a long time, but even them, they weren't around back then,
yeah,
and except for the original guys, of course. But I mean, dude, on any given weekend at WSFC, you would grid up like in a 600 race at Willow, and you would grid up with Anthony Gobert, Jamie Hacking, that one of
yeah.
the you Brothers, maybe, you
There's
know,
so much talent.
Jake, dude, I remember being on track.
And
Jake Zimke
yeah,
on the FX bike, Josh
even if you're
Hayes.
getting smoked or lapped,
Oh
it's like,
yeah, dude,
I'm gridding up with these guys. This
man,
is
and
awesome.
and but the thing is, like the nature of the beast was different too, man. Like
Completely.
the competitive mindset of people, like people came to the track because they
No
wanted to
joke.
go racing,
Yeah,
and I mean, I joke about it now, but man, back then I remember the 600 race was like a contact sport,
yeah,
like
absolutely.
full contact sport. And nowadays, like you get close to a guy and they're like in your face
Yeah,
about it,
it's
I'm
different,
like,
man.
bro, it was clean. What are
It's
you talking
different.
about, dude?
Yeah.
So,
Well,
yeah, it's,
I'm just thankful to have gotten to experience it.
yeah.
Like, I think
We're
to me,
lucky, dude. We're
we
lucky.
are. I look at the generations of before all these guys. So like in the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, there's that generation.
Yeah. And then
There
the
were just
early
the
80s,
true
early 90s.
hardcore guys that
Yeah.
were smoking a ciggy,
Yeah.
like, oh, fuck, put that out, throw open
Yeah.
face helmet, and go lay it down.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
like safety gear, those guys were the men. And then it went
Yeah.
to this next generation that carried it on, but the bikes got better, the equipment got better, but there's
Basically,
still
you're
that
like
same
on any
mindset,
Sunday
you know?
era and then on any Sunday 2 era, right?
Totally. Yep. And that's just change of
Yeah.
again, not that it's not incredible now, and the talent, the kids these days are incredible.
Yeah.
It's just different. I don't know how to put it, but it's different. And
Well, I think, I mean, I see a lot of chatter about stuff like what you're talking about online. Oh, track days has ruined racing, and I'm like, wait a minute,
changed.
Dick.
It's changed
It,
things. That's
I
all.
think I think what's
Not ruined
happened
it.
is back when we started, relatively speaking, obviously. I mean, there's some exceptions. The exceptions prove the rule, right? But like,
Yeah.
in order to be on the track, you had to go racing. And
Yep.
now
Right.
you can just
That was the only
now you
way.
can just
That's
go
right.
on the track and have a good time, and
That's true.
not have the added element of competition involved.
Yeah.
And while that has afforded the racetrack experience to be had by a lot more people, a lot of people that are in the business, like I'm the owner of Track Days, right? Like a
Yeah.
lot of the people that do what I do, they're so worried about trying to hang on to their little slice of the pie that they're
Yeah.
like, oh, racing is way too gnarly. You don't want to do that, and like
Oh,
kind of
really?
almost like
Yeah.
discouraging people or like trying to kind of shield them from this evil thing. And where I'm like, hey man, this is cool. You think this is cool, dude? Right? And then we steer them in
Absolutely.
the direction of
Yeah.
racing. And I've kind of always done that and been that way to my
Well,
own business
it's
detriment,
just changed
probably.
things. No, but man, I mean, that's if someone wants to go race, they're going to do it,
Yeah,
and you should
yeah,
encourage them to, via a track day,
yeah,
teach them the safety part of it, so they have an enjoyable experience, right?
yeah.
I mean,
I mean,
that's the whole
there's
part of it. I think is
and
that
I mean, I've gotten to watch and scout talent and see talent come up and through the track day world all the way to being a pro several times, and it's a great feeling when you're like,
yeah,
dude, I remember when that kid was over here asking
yeah,
me shit. I'm like, okay,
that's
like,
cool, man.
you
That's
know,
right.
I, I've had this chat with Curtis Adams a few times where, like, I, I recognize the look on some of the kids' faces when they're talking to me, and they have the same look on their faces that I had when I was talking to Curtis Adams.
Isn't that
So I was
cool?
like, that's,
You know
it's
that
kind of
look.
weird, but it's, I don't know. Anyway,
Yeah,
so
you know that
this
look feeling.
But yeah, dude. So okay, so you quit. You took a hiatus for a little bit, and you came back in '07, and then
Yeah,
fuck,
a lot of it. Yeah, man. So my career,
you did a massive amount of disciplines too, right?
sort of. So as long as people think I've been racing, actually racing, I've not. So I did 99, that Aprilia race, finished
Yeah,
off the 125s, had a lot of success there.
yeah,
And then did one race of 600 Super Sport at Daytona, got taken out on the back straight, wide open, 160 mile per hour, and got pretty banged up. And, it just was like, I didn't grow up racing. So it wasn't just all I knew.
yeah.
I had a lot of other. I went to normal high school. I played football. I played lacrosse. Um, I was going to go to college. I was going to just do other stuff. So for me, that was my first little sort of brain reset. It's like, I don't know if this is what I want to do. So I had a little time while I was injured to think about stuff. And so, yeah, I pulled the plug, which looking back, it's like, I don't regret anything, but holy cow, I had such an opportunity. I was young. I was definitely, I think, talented enough to go places, but I chose to step away. So yeah, I didn't race motorcycles until from 2000 to 2007.
Okay.
In between there, though, I had an opportunity. I don't even remember how it happened. Through my pops, my dad, in meeting a gentleman that owned a little SCCA car racing team. I raced cars. I raced a season of SCCA in open wheel,
That's
and
awesome.
it was badass. I mean, to go from two wheels to four, it was so easy. I mean,
That's
it was
what people
like
say.
instant. Talk about let it hang out there. It's like I got a roll cage around me,
Yeah.
and I can. So I won a national championship for season. I did a race of Formula Atlantic. I did the Long Beach Grand Prix,
No
and
shit. That's
yeah, it was
badass, dude.
incredible experience. I mean,
Like
like,
that's a short list of people that have been able to do stuff like that.
yeah, man, it was amazing. It was looking back, it's like holy shit. I did the one race, that was it, but I think I finished 12th. And it was, yeah. I mean, I think I could have had a career car racing, but that's one of those things. You better find some big sponsors and big money.
Yeah, dude.
Because to go, like I said, to go from two to four, I think anyone you've seen that's done it, motocross guys, road race, I mean, I'm not gonna say it's easy. It's different. Those guys are no joke, but I was very comfortable.
I've got a commenter, Irate Barry from Utah, and he's telling me that he was hoping that you were gonna say you raced a Spec Miata.
Oh, dude, that's the shit. Spec Miata class. I
Ah,
want
it's so
to.
funny.
Yeah, dude, the Miata class is where it's at.
Is it
It's
really,
just absolutely you'll because it's a Miata and they actually
dude?
work all right. You show
Like
up with a 40
I,
car
I,
grid and
I
you
go
still
to
bang doors.
I go to a lot of the tests with. Oh, I go to all the tests with the race team, with Attack Yamaha, and
Oh yeah.
we share the track with the car guys, right?
Okay.
And there was this dude that had this like ridiculous Lamborghini, right? And I'm like, man, and I'm talking to their crew because like, whatever. I'm asking questions, and the shit that comes out of these guys' mouths is just shocking. The I guess the perspective that they have versus the perspective that we have.
Totally different.
And he's like, yeah, it's basically like it's sort of like the Lamborghini version of a Spec Miata. I was like, what? So yeah, it's some kind of cup challenge or something. But the car,
Miatas are cool.
I think
Yeah.
the guy was saying it was like 600 grand or 700 grand to run that car for the season,
Oh my
including
gosh.
tires and everything.
No. What? Oh,
Yeah,
for a Lamborghini.
yeah, the Lamborghini.
Oh yeah, I don't doubt it. I was gonna say a Miata, dude. You could run the same set of
No,
tires
but it's like
all
a
year.
spec car. So he was like, "Oh, it's
Copy.
sort of like
Yeah,
a spec Miata, but like it's a Lamborghini." I'm like,
but really
"Okay,
expensive.
yeah, really expensive Miata."
Yeah, totally different world, man. Like
Perspective
very
is a
different
bitch,
world.
right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny,
But
man.
but but such a cool experience. I did, that little bit of four wheel stuff, which is really, again, just a neat experience. And then, God, man, so that was it for racing. I was out. I was in Santa Barbara, going to college and valet parking cars at the Santa Barbara Inn, and I moved to Lake Elsinore for a little while. what a shithole that was. It was just like, that's where the industry was. You know, I came back to racing in '03 for Jason Pridmore.
Okay.
And that was so cool. I actually, I called Josh Hayes, and
Okay.
he's a buddy of mine. And I was like, Josh, I remember I was in Santa Barbara with a bunch of roommates. He's like, Josh, I was picking his brains, like, dude, I want to race. I got the itch, you know, I want to race. And he's like, yeah, man, well, you know, I think you should race the 600 or 750. And anyways, he sort of lined me out with Jason Pridmore. And met Pridmore, hit it off. What a cool cat, so talented. And I started teaching at the Star School for Pridmore. Taught at the schools, and then we did a little collaboration. I raced 750 Superstock back then.
Yeah.
Under the Star banner. So I raced for Star School.
Okay.
Which was so cool.
I'm kind of remembering that now that you're saying that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was good. You know, so competitive. I think, back then I did about a half a season, and we're talking like from first to 20th was just talent. Now, because now I look back at lists, I'll pull up the old stuff. I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, like every manufacturer had 2 semi-trucks of factories.
Yeah.
They had a satellite team. You know, I mean, it was incredible.
Yeah.
So anyways, it was really good for me. I mean, I was just getting hammered, and to be a top 15 was a push, but I had Pridmore training me. I mean, like really, I got to teach at his track days, get seat time, and he was there to be able to instruct me, and it was just such an opportunity. Looking back, and I did I did it for some reason. I did a race for GP Tech.
Okay.
Maloney.
Yeah.
Jeff Maloney.
Yeah, Maloney. Yeah.
So I showed up at Mid Ohio on a Formula Extreme bike. You remember those bikes?
Yeah.
Those were just gnarly. And I want to say his rider was hurt or something. For some reason, I showed up.
I'm like, was this rider Jeff Bostrom?
Could have been. I want to say Jeff did race that bike.
Yeah, he did, dude.
Yeah, Jeff Bostrom. So I showed up on a Thursday to ride the bike at a track day prior to the AMA event. And Thursday practice, it's raining, Mid-Ohio. Okay? You don't ride there in the rain. No way. It's raining, and I was like, well, I got to learn the track. You know, I'll go out. I like riding in the rain. So I go out. It's me and one other guy on the track, and it was the Corona Suzuki rider from Australia. Or no, British guy. British guy for Corona Suzuki.
It's been a minute, bro.
It was like when Jake Holden was riding for them. And anyways, 2 of us on the whole track, and we're going under the bridge. You remember the bridge you go under?
Yeah.
And we're going under the bridge, and he passed me on the outside, and he clipped my handlebar and sent me into the bridge, into the wall. So it was like,
yo, thanks.
That was that, you know, like jacked up the bike, jacked me up. And that was sort of it. I was banged. And then I went home, and again, it was one of those things that I felt horrible. I called Pridmore. I was like, dude, I don't know, man. You know? So looking back now,
I don't even know what I'm doing out there, right?
You know,
this isn't fun anymore.
What am I doing? You know, I just would go from not racing to racing, and it's just sort of my style. I just jump on and do it. But looking back, though, you know, having to maybe have someone help direct me, you know, a bit more of the opportunities I had. Looking back, I'm like, man, what opportunities had I stuck it out? But it just, you know, I don't know. It wasn't for me at the time. I loved it, but I didn't have that just hardcore racer mentality. I remember asking guys. I remember asking Spees. You know, we spent a lot of time together, Ben Spees and I, and it's like, hey, do you ever wonder about if you want to race or not? You know, or if it's for you, or if you have a big crash? It's like, no. I mean, it was like that. No.
Wow.
It's like, oh, okay. Well, that's way different than how I think. So, you know, maybe it's good.
Maybe you're just smart.
Well, there's that part of it too. Who knows, man, right? Like looking back, I could have gone one direction, I think been very successful. Maybe not. Or I could have gotten hurt. Who knows? But what I know is that, you know, I had incredible experiences with very talented people who helped me. Josh Hayes and Pridmore and Freddie Spencer. And I mean, like I was very blessed to have somehow lined up with these people. And they sort of took me under their wing in a way, and
Yeah.
I got to have these experiences that I wouldn't have otherwise. So that was it, man.
You know
03,
what?
07, I
What
was
what
just
what you're saying? I have a commenter. Barry says something else that kind of rings true, and I'm gonna say what he said, and then we could have a discussion on that too. But he says he thinks it's awesome that we now have a ton of resources for coaching now.
yeah,
And back then,
absolutely.
dude, it was like School of
There
Hard
wasn't much.
Knocks,
Yeah.
or you could go to like Superbike school, or
Yep.
Pridmore had just started his school when we
Yeah, he was
started racing,
fresh.
basically,
Reg
right?
Pridmore was around. It was,
Yeah,
dude, there was not much. Yeah.
Reggie Pridmore, which, dude, like he basically, I took Reggie's class in the late '90s, like '98 or something, and I remember getting the talk. The talk was like, look, I know you're racing, but this isn't a fucking race school. So, like, right?
Yeah.
So, like, it was that and the Superbike school, and then Jason had just opened his school when we started. So,
That was about it. That's right.
I mean, now, dude, you could do one-on-one with the MotoGP Moto2 champion, Tony Elias.
Crazy. I know.
Josh Hayes, you could pay him. Jake
Yeah.
Simke.
Yeah.
I mean, hitters after
The
hitters after
access
hitters.
people have now, that's the
Yeah.
thing I look at too. Here's what's interesting while you're bringing it up. So it's like when we were in school. If you want to look something up, what was it? What did we have to use?
Encyclopedia Britannica.
That's it, right?
Yeah.
You'd go into the freaking encyclopedia, A through Z, and like, oh man, but you figured it out,
Yeah.
or you had to really listen in school. No difference in racing now, like you're saying with TrackDaz, is that back then you had these couple of different outfits. You had to have the money to go to those outfits. Otherwise, it was like you're saying, there was no track days. It was show up Friday and you'd figure it out.
Yeah,
and you'd race
dude.
the fast guys and you'd be like, holy shit, this is gnarly. But you learned quick
Yeah.
and they wouldn't mess around. If you got in their way, it was like, no way, dude, beat it.
The
It's so
amateurs,
different now.
the amateurs today have no idea how great they have it.
They have every resource.
Yes, dude. I mean,
You know?
when we started, it was like, you do your Friday track day or whatever. Saturday morning, you go and you have Danny Farnsworth yell at you for half a day, basically, right? And the other
Right.
half you're on the track. And then basically Sunday morning, you get thrown to the wolves
In the deep end. Yeah.
oh, dude, in practice,
Yep.
you get thrown
Getting
into the
lapped
wolves.
by freaking Chuck Graves. Yeah,
In
it's just like,
practice,
oh my
right? And
gosh.
then you have to
Yeah.
sit around all day for your one novice race.
Right.
And now these guys are, I mean, we got amateurs that are doing like 6, 8 races a weekend, dude.
It's cool. It's good. It's different.
And
But
they're
I'll tell you
coming out
what,
swinging, but they're coming out swinging with a lot more riding experience than we had when we started.
a lot of experience and a lot of resources. But here's the difference, though, that I don't understand is that when you look at, and whether it's road racing or like what I do with my camp, I teach in the dirt, be it flat track or
I was
moto,
going to ask you about
supermoto,
your camp.
road race. It's like, I don't understand is how we haven't progressed a little more. So on the road race tracks that we still have raced for how many years now? I always like to go back and I look at lap times. I'll go back
Yeah.
and look at my Superbike lap times from Daytona, from Laguna.
Yeah.
They haven't changed much with traction control. Technology's changed a lot.
I mean, the lap records
Lap
have been
times
broken.
not changed
Like
much,
the lap records get broken, but they're not broken by
but
like,
they're not huge amounts.
yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? It's like
The bikes are
and-
so
and
much
being able to-
faster, and
bikes
so
are
much
better.
more easier to ride, electronics and shit. And
Yeah, but it's like
it's not 10 seconds a lap faster. It's like
no, it's a couple maybe.
it's like it's like 7/10, right?
yeah, and
Yeah.
the what you're saying as far as the resources that riders have, kids have, right? When I started, it was 125, but kids had a stock YSR
Right.
that was street legal, and they had to strip it down and like that. Those didn't
Yeah.
work great. Now they got these Ovalis and all this stuff, which is so rad. But
Dude,
it
have you
hasn't
seen
looked-
those Ovalis?
Yeah, I rode one. They're
They're
insane.
fucking missiles, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, they're no joke. I rode Tal O'Hara's a little while ago. I was like, oh my God, I couldn't imagine having this to train on as a kid,
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyways, what's cool about it to me is that the resources are there because that's going to increase safety. Like number one, you want riders to be safe, be it kids especially,
Yeah.
and adults, or the guy who's
Yeah.
race Sunday and go work it on Monday. Like you want safety because then you're having fun. When you're hurt, dude, it sucks. We all know that. So that
Yeah.
part of it is good. The good schools or track days, and there's a million out there these days. I'm not going to say it's hurt the industry, but I personally think it has changed the industry. And in some ways, the good ones is phenomenal. When you have good instructors,
Yeah.
that's awesome. And that's where like the whole USMCA has been established and all that to try to have a
Yeah.
curriculum or a baseline that, because otherwise you got these track day providers or club racers that know it all. It's like,
Yeah.
it bugs the shit out of me.
Yeah, I
Because
mean,
they know what they're talking about, and you're just telling this totally green rider or student the wrong stuff.
what you got to
and that's
do is throttle out of
sketch.
that shit, like,
It's
I mean,
horrible.
dude, it's, yeah,
You're gonna put them on their head, and I don't like that stuff. That part of
Yeah.
it, I mean, like, man, there should be a bit more of a standard.
Yeah.
So kudos to the ones like your guys and the Yamaha guys and the good outfits out there that are truly teaching a curriculum that is legit.
Well, when we take a new person, I mean, new riders have the same nerves that we had when we started, right? They're all like, oh my
Absolutely.
God, this is.
Yeah.
So I come in and our crew comes in and basically takes that, it calms them down a little bit and just kind of gives them the what's what. And
Yeah.
then we take them out and show them around. And then throughout the day, we keep bringing them back for classroom time. It's really interesting. It's not mandatory or anything, but they keep coming back because they want to get something. And because I'm an instructor for the Yamaha school, so like we'll come in and we'll do like the old school, like Nick and Ken Hill used to do this in the Yamaha school. But basically, it was like the myth busting shit, right? Where
Hmm.
crap that you see people write online about writing.
Yeah.
And we'll sit there and myth bust that stuff.
I love it.
And
Yeah.
the new writers seem to eat that stuff up pretty good. And then I give them two up rides. Like,
It's the best thing you can do, in my opinion.
and the two up rides, when we first started, it was more like a thrill ride kind of thing. But man, like I've buttoned that shit up and it's super square now. And it's like, look, I'm not here to terrify you. You need to get on here and you need to take a look at
You gotta
where,
feel it.
yeah, like where I'm putting the motorcycle, how I'm operating the brakes, how long I'm
Yeah.
carrying the brakes for, the throttle application, all that stuff. And then, I give them the ones the what I want, what I expect of them as a passenger. And then, dude, you would be amazed the look and the commentary after the ride. And they're like, "Oh my God, I can't believe
Yeah,
you could
it's a
brake
good feeling.
for that long."
Yeah.
Yeah,
In my opinion,
I dig
that's
that
one of the
stuff.
best tools. I mean, like everyone learns different, right? You got
Yeah.
visual learners and audio or hands-on, and I mean, I'm a hands-on dude, but no matter what type of learner you are, Pridmore is the two-up guy at his schools. I mean, he was so good at it that I didn't want to do a two-up. I remember Pridmore. I think we were at Chicago or somewhere. He's like, Mazzotta, let's go. I was like, I don't want to get on the back to you, period. Like I would love to feel and see what you're doing, but to ride on the back
Yeah.
as a racer, like I want to be in control.
Yeah.
I did it with him, and it was so rad. And as a racer, to be able to be, I mean, I was so
Yeah.
relaxed, flowing with him,
Yeah.
and really studying his fingers and his hands and his everything.
Yes.
And Pridmore's so smooth. That for me was one of the biggest nuggets that I gained
Yeah.
in I think 2 laps.
Dude,
and I was already racing professionally.
Yeah, dude.
And by no means on top, but I still learned so much in 2 laps. So you take that to a new rider, and especially these days with radios, live chat, so you can say, "Hey, here's what we're doing right now," and man, it's just awesome.
Yeah, we haven't upgraded to the Cardo or whatever yet, but man, that's a good idea. I don't
Cargo,
know.
what's that?
That headset stuff that you put in
Oh,
your
the
helmet.
radios.
Yeah, I haven't,
Oh, dude, that's
or
the hot
whatever it is.
ticket.
Like I haven't
Yeah.
used that yet because I wear earplugs and all that. Like
Right.
I've never wanted to be getting squawked at in my helmet while I'm trying to focus. But
Hey, man, I'll
that's
tell
a
you
good
what.
idea. That's a good idea.
We had, I don't know if you even
And really
remember it,
quick,
but
dude, what you said about Pridmore 2-up, dude, I had a similar
do it?
experience with Scott Russell.
Oh, you went 2-up with Scott?
Yeah, bro.
Oh man.
And the biggest takeaway, what you said about Pridmore and how slow his hands were,
So smooth.
dude,
I
I
remember it.
I
Yep,
will
yeah.
never forget the 2-up ride with Scott Russell. I did
Isn't
two
that
of them,
cool?
and I've applied so much of what I learned to my own riding and my own 2-up riding because, dude, the guy is.
So smooth.
We were going like insane lap speed, right?
Where were you? What track?
Jersey. And I mean, yeah, I was working for Yamaha school that weekend, and I scumbagged them into letting me do a 2-up with my hero, basically, right?
That's cool.
So
Yeah.
yeah, like I was total star fucker. I was like, oh my god, dude, that's Scott Russell right there, my hero for like 20 years. Okay, so I
How about his accent?
oh, I love that guy,
Is
dude.
it
He's
awesome?
like family to
Freaking,
me, man.
he's so cool. I love it. Yeah.
My family's originally, like we're Georgia people,
From the
so
South? Okay.
yeah, oh,
Yeah.
yeah, I could turn that shit on. I don't even want to talk like that right
Get all
now, but
Cajun?
no, no, just southern as shit. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
But
that's cool.
Scott Russell, big hero of mine, and just watching, like you said, like the how slow his hands are and how deliberate he was with the brakes, and
Yeah.
at the tip and how patient he was.
Yeah.
Man, like
Isn't it cool?
yeah,
When
and
you
he
can, when you can, as a student on the back, appreciate those things, not just be, as a new student, oh
yeah,
shit, just hanging on and leaning the opposite way and, tight. Yeah,
yeah,
it's so neat to be able to, I don't want to do it again. Like, I don't think if Pridmore's like, get on the back, I don't know if I would. I would, but I don't want to, you know what I mean? But to be able to relax and appreciate it, it's a hell of an experience. And I know after the fact, I did 2-up rides at Pridmore School for him, and I've done it at a lot of other schools. I do it on the dirt with riders, and I think it's one of the best tools. You just have to be able to have that absolute feel of having someone on the back and deal with someone who can be super squirrely, with their body and
yeah.
their weight, and a big, big, big human being versus a small one and
Oh,
leans
dude,
opposite.
who's the
It's a
biggest?
trip.
What's the biggest passenger you had when you did 2-ups?
Oh man, Skip Barber School. I had some big passengers.
Yeah, like how
Big.
big? How big?
I mean, to guess, high twos.
Yeah, dude. I gave a
High,
guy that
high
was like,
twos, big,
I gave,
like
yeah,
tall.
I gave a
Like their
guy,
head was almost not hitting the back of
yeah,
my helmet, but over my head. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
I gave a
Trip.
guy that was 6'8", like 280, and
That's
I've got a huge spring on there, and you go into the corner, and you've blown through the spring, and the rear tire's barking, and I'm
oh,
just
it's
like,
sketchy.
and I'm like,
You got to
this
slow
is
her down a little
dumb.
bit. This is gnarly. Yeah. Worst thing you could ever do is pitch it with a guy on the back
Yeah,
or a girl on the back.
and then earlier this year, I gave a blind dude a 2-up ride. That was kind of
I saw that. How
yeah,
cool. What an
man.
experience, huh?
Yeah. So it's, all shapes and sizes.
Yeah.
You basically adjust your pace accordingly, to
Yeah.
whoever it is. And I try to, like, I can hear Nick Einach in my head going, D, you know, the program's on the line right now. The
Yeah.
program's in your hands right now. So
That's pretty
I,
solid for Nick. Yeah.
I
That's true
really,
though, man. You can't make a mistake.
dude,
You know?
there's been some bad stuff up north, lawsuits and all kinds of
Yeah.
stuff. And man, I just don't want to be that guy. I don't want to
No,
be
don't
the
ever. Two
yeah,
ups are definitely frowned upon with insurance and in general. So,
yeah,
you'd hope that it's never something that gets lost because I think it's one of the best tools
yeah,
for whether it's a track day guy, an aspiring racer, or taking a blind guy around the track. How incredible! I took one of the coolest experiences I've ever had, Destin, was at Fontana. Remember old Fontana,
yeah, dude,
Kentucky?
yeah,
So a buddy of mine, Aaron Baker, he lived in Monterey and he was a pro motocrosser, super talented kid. He got hurt and paralyzed. I think he was whole high school, and he is just one of those guys that is so gnarly and was not going to give in to the change of life. So he biked across America. He's done it all. This kid's
yeah.
incredible. Anyways, I took him on the back with me on my 600 Supersport race bike at Fontana at a track day. So suit him up in my leathers and all my gear.
You put like a stock tail section back on. With this
Nope.
passage.
Race
Oh,
tail.
race tail.
Race tail.
Okay,
Yep.
that's
Thing
different.
was super stout. We put one really thin pad on it, and we taped his hands around me. We taped him right here, and we taped his knees to my knees so that his knees could still move boots to me. So, because I didn't
Okay.
have passenger pegs, right?
Right.
So basically, we strapped him to me and my body, and man, and I was ripping. You know, I went out of the pits just nice and smooth. I mean, he's a racer. I was like, you know, hey buddy, how's this for you? He's like, he was screaming. It was like, made me want to cry, man. Like he got that feeling again, and he was like, yeah. I was like, okay, just tell me. Like if we can up the pace, just say, you know, keep going. So I mean, I got to a pace where I was the point like, all right, you know, this is fast, but still mellow for me. But just that experience for him,
Yeah.
again, to have that total thrill and that relief, you know, it was just rad, man. And for me too, just that feeling. So two ups. Point is, they're quite the experience for a lot of different reasons for a lot of different people, you know.
Yeah. So you came back to racing '07, and dude, you had you raced R6s, and then
07 was 600 Super Sport on a Yamaha. Yep.
I remember seeing you race like a GSXR 1000, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So you've been at
07
it.
was a yeah, man.
Superbike.
07 was a solid season. 8 and 9 were solid. Those are the two most solid seasons I've had. I had a
Okay.
damn good bike. I still have it. Actually, it's for sale. Anyone wants to buy it? I've got my 1000 super stock bike, super bike slash back then it was super stock, super bike.
Right.
It's a Gixxer 1000 from the Michael Jordan team.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I don't know if it was Holden or Yates or I don't know who wrote it, but
Yeah.
we got that bike from them, and it was a good bike, and I did well. In '09, Hayloft, I remember Hayloft Racing.
Yeah, dude.
Scotty Jensen rode for him.
My buddy owned that team, man.
Awesome. Yep.
You know,
so that was
One
a
Eye.
good bike. Yep.
Rodney
Rayborn.
Yeah, Rodney Rayborn, good friend of mine,
Rodney
dude.
Rayborn, crazy guy.
Yeah.
He built some good stuff though, man. That bike I remember at Daytona and Superbike.
Do you remember what Hayloft meant?
Yeah, it was the gayest thing ever.
Have a lot of fun.
Have a lot of fun racing.
Yeah, dude.
Or have a lot of
Have a lot of fun racing. Yeah, Hayloft
Dude,
racing.
I asked him.
Yeah.
I remember he had a set of leathers made for me. I was staying at his house. I was like, hey, dude, what's Hayloft? You know, I thought have a lot of fun. It's like, this is the gayest.
You're like,
thing.
shut the fuck up,
That
really?
is so lame, Rodney.
Yeah. It's
Dude,
like
what are you talking about?
his kids came up with that or something. It had to have been, right?
Freaking Rodney. But that dude built some good stuff, man. And that was a solid year. I the best finish I ever had was in super stock. I remember I was running at Daytona, right off the tail of Michael Barnes and Aaron Yates, and I freaking missed a shift the last lap.
Oh shit.
And Chris Paris and Ulrich got by me, but that was a solid season for me. And then 2010, I went to Aussie Dave Racing, got half a season in, and last race in my career was 2010 Laguna Seca.
Until
last year.
Yeah.
The last year.
Yeah. Like I think I reached out to you
man.
when I saw you were gonna do something last year. And I was
last
like,
year I was gonna do a
dude,
track day with you.
stoked for you, man. Like I was like, dude, where the fuck have you been? Like and then I saw you at Daytona this year, and I was like, man, like you're still getting it, you know, gray hair and all.
Totally.
Loving it.
Man, I'm just
Where'd you go, man?
God, I went all over. So 2000. So here's the thing. It was cool. 2010. I got taken out at Daytona. I don't remember. It was like I think it was I don't remember what race it was, but I got T-boned by.
Okay.
He lost his brakes. And Kyle Wyman T-boned me. He I want to say compounded his tib fib. It was all bad for him. I got banged up, but I was fine. It was the 8 hours of Daytona. That's what it was. Riding Ducati. We got on the podium on that bike. Anyways, and that moment at Daytona, I got loaded up in the ambulance, and I was going to the infield, care center for the 18th time at Daytona, and I told the medics on board, I said, I thanked them. I was like, thanks for what you guys do. It's really cool when if you've experienced it, I'm sure you have, when
Yeah.
you're down and out, and you're getting hauled off in a stretcher or going to the hospital, it's a shitty feeling. You're number one. For me, it's always like, oh God, like how long is this going to take to heal? Am I going to make the next race? Or my family, what are they
Yeah.
going to think? You're stressing them out, and you got to let them know, and
Yeah.
it's a shitty feeling. So I remember telling them, I was like, thank you for what you guys do. And I told the medic, he was super cool. I said, I'm going to do what you do. I'm done racing. I'm going to do what you do. And so I did. I made it up to Laguna from Daytona. Ozzy Dave and I had a falling out. And that was it. I raced like some local race at that event, Laguna Seca, with Jeremy Toy and Brian Perriott. So I had a good little last race at Laguna. It was fun. And then that was it. I signed up for the Monterey Fire Academy and EMT school. So I became an EMT and a firefighter, like instantly.
Oh, wow.
That was it.
That's awesome.
So,
yeah. So you disappeared for basically a decade, and then you come back.
I was out. Yeah, man.
More than a
It was
decade.
cool.
Almost. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah,
Crazy,
over a
man.
decade. I've worked
Yeah.
for CAL FIRE, and that's what brought me back up here, a job for CAL FIRE. It was an awesome career. And worked some ranches, a few different cattle ranches, running cattle and growing hay, and did all that. Good, just hard labor. Learned a ton.
Yeah, you said before you joined the show tonight, like, sorry I'm a little late, man. I had to put out a hay fire. I was like, what?
Dude. No, that was well, I burned it. So I got a bunch of hay, like old crappy hay from my track. I put on events I put on races at my house.
Yeah.
All my bales get rained on, and they get heavy, they fall apart, they grow weeds. So I needed more hay, and my neighbors down the road had a bunch of hay that they baled up that got rained on. I was like, done, I'll take it. Well, it got rained on too much to where I couldn't load it up. But then I was committed to all this damn hay. So I loaded up with all my my mini excavator, brought it here to my dump trailer.
Yeah.
Paid it out in a big old row of crappy hay. So it's finally dried. I'm like, oh hell yeah, yesterday. So I torched it off. And then I call CAL FIRE. I'm like, hey guys, just so you know, I'm across the road from you guys, and if you see a big old plume of smoke, I'm burning hay. Don't worry about it. Like, oh well, you don't have your burn permit and all this stuff. I'm like, dude, come on. I had to freaking put it back out, and it's burning all night. I'm smoking my neighbors out, and I'm working all day, and it's still smoking. So yeah, right. I look out the window, and my neighbor goes like, dude, what are you burning, trash? I'm like, no, I'm just burning old scumpy hay, man. So yeah, right before I called you, I had to run out there and flow water on it for a while, try to put it out.
So you you started your own camp thing? Like you got the dirt track school thing, or what is that? Tell me about
Moto Camp.
Tell me about the Hawk Mazzotta Moto Camp. What's going on
Yeah,
there?
man. So in 2019, my then girlfriend, now wife, actually I took her down to Laguna Seca for the race. That was my introduction. I took her down to that, and I had not touched a motorcycle seriously from 2010 till I met her, and I went out and I fooled around on a dirt bike. I did a supermoto race, and she's the one that got me back into racing. It's her fault. She was like,
That's a story
in your eyes, it's like you've got this look in your eye, and you're in a better mood, like you're a better human being. You need to do that. So anyways, she sort of got me fired up on it. I have a 10-year-old, he's 10 years old now, and take him to school and stuff. Everyone knew I rode and I raced, and so they'd be like, oh, how can you teach my kid how to ride? And so I was always around this whole thing of teaching others to ride, and I love teaching. I taught at Pridmore School. I taught at Skip Barber School on the KTMs with Bostrom and Jeff Haney and all these guys that we had a damn good curriculum. So I know how to teach, and I truly enjoy it, especially the kids. And I love kids. So yeah, man, over a couple bottles of wine with my wife that night, it was like, we're doing it. We're starting we're making it a business. So we came up with the name, and so the very end of 19, I started Hawk Mazzotta Moto Camp, and it started as I'm in the dirt. I teach on my property. I've got several tracks that are cut in, and it's pretty much flat ground, flat terrain. So flat track, TT, I mean, I've got obstacle courses, you name it, I've got it out here, and we teach on, 100s, mini bikes.
Nice. Like Titter 125s, that kind of
Yeah,
stuff, or
yeah, XR
okay.
100s. I teach all ages, all skill levels. I've taught thousands of students now.
Really?
I work with kids. I mean, I've
So
done it
awesome.
all, honestly, man. In a few years, I worked with a school. It's called the California Adventure Academy. It's an independent school up here that is outdoor based, right? So
Yeah.
definitely during COVID, they were like really cranking. So it was all outdoor. They had your main curriculum and subjects of core stuff, but it was a lot more life based stuff. And so I had these students coming out, and I had 50 students to teach in 2 hours. I mean, it was like one of the biggest challenges and things for me to learn my craft of how to teach a kid. I mean, I had a Stasic bike, I had a PW50, and I had a little stock 50, TTR 50. So that was my little quiver. And so I had little kids, kindergarten up through middle school, high school. And I did this for a few days. So, anyways, point is, I've worked with a lot of different students, and it's taught me a lot. And I sure enjoy it, man. Like my whole curriculum is based upon what I've learned, what I think is right, not textbook, not you should do this, you should do that. I teach safety. Like if you teach it, in my opinion, in the dirt, that stems out to the different disciplines. I don't care if it's supermoto, flat track, motocross, obviously road race, ergonomically, you're in a different position, but the foundation is across the board.
Right on.
And, right? So front brake, rear brake, throttle control, throttle application, lean angles. I mean, it's like, I love what I teach, and it works, period. It just does. There's not one way to teach. It's not that my way is the right way, but it sure as hell works. And I've enjoyed seeing, whether it's kids or adults come to me and leave with absolute, either their goal has been met or they've taken these huge steps where they're more confident, they're having more fun riding,
Right.
and they're a safer rider.
So
That's
is the camp like your main gig? Or are you doing the
that
firefighter
is
thing main
now.
gig?
No. It is now.
Okay.
No, I stopped firefighting years ago, being a single father, and I've been building homes. That's what I do.
Okay.
I build homes. I sort of do it all, as far as in the trades.
Versatile
So
dude, man. Like you're quite the character. Like I would never have expected you to say that. Building homes.
yeah, that's what I've been since high school. Our parents
No
always,
shit.
had to
Okay.
have a job, and yeah, my brother and I were grunt laborers, man, out of high school on multi-million-dollar home jobs, effing off, like bending and cutting rebar and throwing it at seagulls that flew by on the Big Sur coast, dude. Like,
Wow.
but yeah, I mean, I've built homes from the ground up, every phase of it, so that's what I've done for years, and I just last October, that was it. My wife said, just focus on one thing, focus on your business, because I spread too thin. And it's been challenging, man. Like
Yeah.
it's good. I can focus and really put my effort and energy into this. And I love it. It's my passion. If I could just do this, hell yeah, I would.
Yeah.
But it's hard, man. New startup businesses, I don't care what it is. I've had mobile detailing businesses, and I've done my own stuff
Yeah.
in different industries. It's hard. It takes time, and it's an extra thing. It's not a necessity. People
Right.
coming to learn to ride a motorcycle with our economy and the COVID shit, it's like it's not a necessity. So
Right. Yeah.
it's hard. I'm making do.
Yeah.
It's this first event. I just had it a few weeks ago for this year because we got so much rain up here. I had to cancel over
Oh
and
my
over.
God.
So it's been
Yeah.
really hard start to the year for me. But we're hoping that it picks up, and if it doesn't, I just I'm not giving up on it. I just got to go get some jobs, some building jobs or something like that.
Right on. So let me ask you this: like, what bikes do you have in your garage right now besides the school bikes?
So I've got school bikes / my bikes, three XR100s.
Okay.
And that's like my tool of choice for anything.
And your Jordan bike, right? You had the
Yeah,
Jordan
the
bike.
Superbike, man. Anyone wants to buy it, thing is just sitting there ready to go. $3,500, it's yours. It's got his,
$3,500 for a Jordan Superbike.
the very first traction
Jesus.
control with a little dial on the handlebar, and dude, the thing is gnarly.
Wow.
Anyways, I got the old Superbike. I've got,
3,500 bucks for a Jordan Superbike.
yeah, I need it gone. I'm serious,
God, we're
man.
dumb. This sport is just chews us up and just spits us out,
It
doesn't
isn't
it?
it ridiculous? I
Yeah.
know, I know, dude. And I've had it on Marketplace, but it's like Marketplace, man.
Yeah,
I
I've
don't know how
got
to
it.
work
I've got a
computers. Like
beard.
people are like, "Oh, is it street legal?"
Bearded
Read the
Jixer's like, how
freaking.
much, dude? Like, obviously we're on a slight delay, but when he gets that it's 3,500 bucks, he's probably gonna hit me up and try to get it.
Sweet,
Like,
sold, done. I'll throw in all sorts of stuff with it.
oh my god, that's so funny. Okay,
Got a
so
hooligan bike. I bought one of five of Roland Sands Indian Scouts that he built
yeah,
because I got all fired up a couple years ago. I was like, oh my god, I saw the hooligan race. I want to do that. So I bought one of his, and it's just a freaking weapon.
yeah,
I raced it at Long Beach, on the Moto Beach Classic race, and I've tooled around on it, but I just gave. It's actually a funny story, man. So I raced Long Beach, and it had some sort of, I think, ECU issue. It was sort of
yeah.
off throttle thing would stutter when I'd crack throttle back on, and blah 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 blah. So I call Roland, call his boys, like, oh yeah, call the Lloyd's garage guys out east. So I call them, talk to them. They're like, yeah, no problem. You could send the ECU out to us, and we'll reflash it or whatever they do. It's like, all right, cool. Long story short, I race those guys now, Lloyd's Garage.
Oh no
I had
shit.
no clue who they were at the time. I talked to
Right.
just a couple guys that were super cool, really really helpful, and now I raced for them. So, anyways, I've got the Indian Scout. I've got my super motorbike, just a stock YZF 450. I've got my old '07 YZF 450 that has been supermoto that I teach on and I train on, which I'm going to convert that back. And I've got a couple little 50s that are, again, they're just my camp bikes that students rent out for me.
Right on.
And some Stasics that Stasic sent me, to train the kids on.
So you're racing super hooligans and baggers or just baggers? Like what's you're doing both?
Yeah. Yep. I'm doing both this year. So last year,
So
here's how this all
is it
started,
an
man.
Indian bagger as well?
Yeah, it's an Indian Challenger.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm racing for the Lloyd's Garage guys.
Okay.
And they are the performance tuners in the U.S. period for Indians.
Did
So,
not know that.
yep, Lloyd's Garage, man, they're badass.
Thanks
So
for that info, Hawk.
They do the stuff for Roland Sands, all those. Anyways, they hired me to ride their Indian Challenger and baggers this year, and a hooligan bike, which is it's not even done being built. It's an Indian Chief.
Oh,
The whole plan this year was just I was going to race the Indian Chief. They were going to build it. It wasn't done for Daytona, so I ended up racing Roland Sands Indian Chief that Rennie Skaysbrook raced last year
okay.
because it wasn't done. I said, hey Roland, what do you think, man? I want to not miss out on a doubleheader for points, so I raced his bike, won both rounds at Daytona on his bike out there. So we're leading in points. Now the boys will have our Lloyd's Garage bike built.
So
going-
hooligans, you're leading in points? Is that
Yeah.
what you're saying? Okay.
Yeah.
That's badass, dude. Like
Yeah.
that's Roland's idea with the super hooligans thing. I mean, like I've heard a few people say this before, but I mean, this sport is supposed to be fun. And man,
And cost, and you can.
it's
I
supposed to
think
be
it's
fun.
awesome what he's done, dude.
Yeah.
It's like Roland's just. I think
He's like,
just
"Oh, you got some
absolute-
weird shit? Yeah, we'll figure out a way to put that in
dude,
there."
Roland's a badass, man. That guy's got such a vision, and he's an extremely talented racer,
Yeah.
an artist, and he's got that style and the vision is what I think the sport needed. Like,
Yeah.
Moto America is so different than AMA since I've come back to it. AMA, like I don't care what sanctioning body, anyone's going to find their stuff they don't like about it, and then
Right.
they've got the positives. And Moto America, because I'm a absolute fresh mind to it. It's got its absolute positives, man. It's ran by
Yeah.
some incredible human beings,
dude.
period.
I
But
had
I
I had
tell you
Chuck
what,
I had Chuck Excellent on the podcast like a month ago
yep,
or a month.
these guys are legit. But
Yeah,
there's just some things for me. It's cool for me is that I've been out of the sport for so long. I dealt with AMA. I dealt with, remember, it was DMG.
yeah,
Like, it's gone through a lot of shifts where I've come back to it as an older guy, and I promote my own race. I have my own races that I run, so
yeah,
I'm very aware of how things are ran, be it
yeah.
safety and efficiency, and how they
It's
treat
hard.
their
It's
riders and
hard.
all
It's
this stuff.
hard
And
not
I,
to. It's hard not to go there when you run your own deal and you see the other side of the curtain.
it's
You know what I
hard.
mean?
Yeah,
So like
yep,
you have your opinions of a racer, and most racers have their opinions on certain things.
yep.
But when you've been on the other side of the fence, then you're
You
starting
look at it a
asking
bit different, man.
questions, right? You're like, hey,
Yeah,
why are they doing it like this? Because we do it like this and it works better. So,
right,
right?
right.
I hear you.
Yep. And not to say, I mean, Moto America, I'm stoked to be in their paddock. Period.
Yeah.
Um,
I think they're doing a great job,
but
dude.
yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah,
dude. There's some awesome stuff happening,
yeah.
and paddock has changed, the industry's changed, the economy. There's so much that goes into it, right? But what was, where were we? How did I get on that one?
Yeah, I mean, just, being in the paddock, you were saying about the racing and how much different it is nowadays.
I was going somewhere else, man. No,
Yeah,
Dustin,
I don't
you were
remember, dude.
somewhere.
I was just letting you flow
I
because it was
squirrel out,
working.
man. I squirrel out hard.
Do what?
I squirrel out. You'll lose me quick.
Hey, man, I'm right there with you. I've got like no short-term memory. I'm like Mr. CTE or whatever over here. So I'm like, what do you mean? All
Anyways,
right.
well,
So you're
I could
racing.
say
You're
here's,
racing the Indian, right?
so yeah, back to the Indian, man, is that the plan was to race just the Chief. And when Corey West, he was riding the bike I'm on now last year.
Okay.
So when what was Saddleman Indian, Saddleman Lloyd's, anyways, that whole team, they shifted
Yeah.
into Harley. Now
Yeah.
they're Saddleman Harley. When that happened, my team owner, Tim Sutherland, I believe he owned the motorcycle that Corey West raced.
Okay.
So last minute, right before Daytona, since the Chief wasn't done being built, he said, well, what do you think about racing just the bagger? And so that's how that happened. It's like, hell yeah, let's race a bagger. So that's how it happened, and it sort of just morphed into what it is now. I mean, Laguna or Daytona was the first time I even saw the bike, sat on the bike.
Oh, really?
So yeah, man, it's like it's sort of the story of my life and my
It's
racing
weird,
career.
right?
Yeah,
I look at those
and
things.
I'm stoked to have the opportunity, but I'm like, as a racer, I want to run with the boy. I know I can run up front. I know I can. But especially in baggers, you've got to have seat time and testing. You have to have the
Yeah.
equipment because the factories are, dude, they're like 2 years ahead of us, which is in a budget that we don't even have. It's just not going to
Right.
happen.
Dude, their
You know?
budget's bigger than Richard's budget on the Superbike.
Oh
Dude.
my
Like
God, it's
by a
incredible.
lot.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
It's gnarly. But anyways, we did good at Daytona. I've got the best crew. For me coming back to racing now at 41, I'm not trying to make a career racing anymore.
Right.
I love it. I'm passionate about it. I'm still fast, and it's a good tool for my business. It's a good
Yeah.
marketing tool. And given the opportunity, if I can be hired to race a motorcycle and make money doing it, I'm just stoked and appreciative. So the thing is for me, knowing that dude, I have a family. So risk versus gain. Like it's that thing for me though. It's definitely on my mind, and I have mixed feelings about it, but it's got to be a good experience for me to show up to the track now. And these guys are freaking awesome. I love my team. The owner, Tim and Sandra Sutherland, they're rad. Lloyd Greer, Lloyd's Garage, he's rad. I've got like the dream crew chief. He's my teammate. Josh, he's a fast rider. He races in Hooligan too.
Okay.
So it's like to be able to have a guy who is mechanically, he is so good that I know my bike is safe. Josh Baird.
Okay.
Indian FTR. So he's like the guy, that wrenches on stuff that I know my bike is safe. I know it's fast. And to be able to relay information to a racer, they get it.
Yeah.
Someone who doesn't race, it's a mechanic. It's sometimes hard to completely have that communication.
Yeah.
So I'm stoked, man. I've got just a good atmosphere, and for me, even if I'm not like I'm not finishing where I want to on the bagger,
Right.
it's so competitive. We're having fun, man. The guys are
What's it?
rad. We're
What's it like? I talked to Frankie Garcia quite a bit. He's a good friend of mine, and
yeah,
he's a bagger guy. And I think he's teammates with um,
yeah, with Corey and
Corey and
Jake Lewis, for sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, what's it like riding a bagger on the banking at Daytona? Because like I was at Daytona and I could hear those things. They sounded like hot rods. They sounded like crazy V8s or something. But
Yeah.
man, they're what 180 mile an hour is something
Yeah.
crazy. Some of those
They
guys. I
rip, man.
mean,
Yeah.
so describe that experience from the cockpit view.
Um, it's badass. All right. Like they sound
Well,
so good.
duh, right?
It's
Yeah,
freaking badass, and it's different because I can compare it to Superbike. They don't race Superbikes there anymore. I raced a Superbike at Daytona. So you were 100 or shit. We were like 200 mile per hour.
yeah,
Freaking gnarly. But the bagger, man, it's not far off. I mean, speed wise, yeah, I think I was 170 some mile per hour. So that's a super bike, but they're not built to do that. So
no,
it feels like you're going 200 some mile per hour. And I don't know if it's the same for every bagger out there. I know on my bagger, we had limited seat time. Maybe we could have had it set up a little bit better, but they move. They move, dude. You've got to let it just do its
wiggle.
thing. Yep.
You got to ride the wiggle. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, man. The best way to describe it, I tell guys, though, is it's like riding a really big, long wheelbase XR100.
Wow. Okay.
They're like, you know, they're soft. They move. They flex. I'm gonna say they're soft. They flex. They're
Yeah.
so damn heavy that they're everything on them is moving and flexing. And you got to just sort of give them their reins, and you got to be comfortable with a lot of movement. You can't see it in TV and stuff, but I'll tell you what, dude, they're moving. On the banking, they're just sort of doing this
That sounds crazy, man.
the whole time. But they're stable. They're forgiving. They're forgiving.
So,
bike. Yeah.
when's your next race?
Well, unfortunately for me, man, not till Laguna. Road
Okay.
America is our next bagger race, but due to how much the stuff costs, the team decided not to go to Road America. Unfortunately,
Oh, that's a bummer.
I'm bummed because, I mean, for us, like each time we're on the bike, we're gaining. I need that seat time, and I think I don't know where we are in points. We were 6th in points, which is
Like, who
damn
the fuck
good.
cares? You're 40 something. Like, you're just having fun, right?
Yeah, I'm having fun, but I want to win, man. I'm
Yeah,
a
of
racer.
course. Yeah.
Like.
Well, I mean, scumbag him into going anyway, dude.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna happen, man. But
Yeah.
it's all good. They're putting out so much just to do what they're doing. I'm just appreciative that I have a ride. It's pretty neat to be able to show up and race for these
Yeah.
guys. And we just went to Pittsburgh
Okay.
for Bagger Racing League, the BRL
Oh,
race.
you did the BRL thing.
Yeah, and that was
Dude,
awesome, dude.
Those guys, I don't know if you know this, but there's a group of guys that started riding track with us, TrackDaz, in about, I want to say 17 or 18. And most of those guys are still racing right now, either hooligans or BRL or baggers, right? Some of them, multiple. So it's like Lucas.
Real wild group, huh?
Yeah, so do you know Lucas? They call him the Joker.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
Eric Stolz,
Oh, totally. They're the OGs.
like Tony
Tony
Shreds, yeah, Tony
Yeah,
Shreds,
man.
Zach
Yeah.
Nation.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I'm the guy that took Zach
that's
Nation
cool.
off the Malibu Canyon and brought
Good
him
for
out
you,
to the
got 'em on
track.
track. Nice.
And basically, so after Zach kind of came and left, there was like 3 or 4 of these Harley dudes, and they called me up. Tony Shreds called me up one day, and he was like, "Hey, man, do you think it'd be cool if Harleys were on the track with you guys?" And I was like, "Fuck yeah, bro." And he's like, "Really?" Like, he was shocked because I guess every other org that he talked to said
They
no.
wouldn't allow.
Yeah, and I'm like, come on out, dude. We had some guy in a
Oh, that's cool,
Virago,
man.
and so like I got to watch those guys come up and help them. They went through my new racer, all of them did. And then they also like when I was building the CRA in the background in 2020, I consulted with them. I was like, "Hey guys,
Oh, really?
everywhere they went to race, they were like the bastard stepchildren." So like those guys all they would get stuck at the back of the 250s.
Yeah,
The races really didn't count towards anything. It was like exhibition
yeah,
or whatever. And I was
yeah.
like, no, dude, when we start CRA, I'm going to create an American Iron class for you guys. And they're like, oh,
Good
cool.
on you, man. So you paved the
And
way for the.
yeah,
Oh, I know
and
that.
obviously word got around that we were doing that, and all of a sudden other clubs started adding on that kind of class for them, right?
Nice. Okay.
And it's pretty rad going to the Daytona, and those guys still recognize
You're
me and
still there.
remember me from back then because they were like, "Dude,
Oh,
we
that's
wouldn't be
cool.
doing this if it wasn't for you." So I
Nice,
don't know.
man.
It's kind of a neat little segue into
Dude,
that.
you helped introduce something that's really big. And
Yeah,
honestly, the demographic, as we all know, be it in Motor America, and it's changed the sport, and it's been needed. It's been
yeah,
really needed. I think Motor America, um, smart of them to have done what they've done. And I know you
yeah.
have a lot of haters. You are going to have haters, but
I mean,
I
if you
think
watch my show, like Richard Stanboli and I have had quite a fun
what's Richard
time.
think of it? He probably hates it.
You know what? The biggest
Dude, I
problem,
mean, they,
the
they,
biggest
they leave
problem
some more on
Richard
the
has
track once in a while.
a lot. Like
A
Richard's,
lot of while. Okay, never
yeah,
mind.
right. Like Richard's
Yeah,
biggest problem with them isn't the fact that it's them; it's that it's caused him
delays.
delays. It's
Yeah,
caused
yeah. No, that's true,
reduced
man. I
reduction
know.
of race laps, that kind of stuff.
It's happened.
But
Yeah.
he did give the baggers props for the last round because they didn't really have any
It's clean.
delays this
Yeah,
time. It's like, oh,
it
maybe
was
they
clean.
figured out the belly pan thing. I don't know, but
We're getting there, man. I mean, it's so new, like
yeah,
it takes time with any new class, right?
yeah,
But here's the thing too, is that it, if, I mean, Motor America is a business, period. It's a business.
yeah.
So when you look at demographics, you look at numbers, and when the majority of your spectators are wearing leather vests and chaps, and maybe assless chaps,
Well, all
that's
chaps
baggers, man.
aren't all chaps assless.
They should be. It's freaking
I
awesome.
mean,
I
but
got mine hanging up here.
I mean the bagger thing. It's and the hooligan thing too. The thing about both of those classes, it's just bringing new faces to the track, man. And
Yeah.
those faces are buying T-shirts and shit,
Yep.
and they're
That's
buying
right.
tickets, and they're bringing their family. And guess what? They're going and grabbing Gagne posters too.
That's
So
dude. And here's
think
the thing.
I think it's great.
It's something new, and it's something that a lot of guys can do.
I'm being
Right? The
reminded
hooligan
that
stuff is
I'm being reminded that Richard and I had a joke about the bagger pace car, which is like the truck with the sweeper on it, at Daytona. We called it
I've
the
heard
bagger
that. It's
pace
pretty
car.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah,
that's true.
thanks for the reminder of that, buddy.
Dang
Appreciate
it.
that.
Yeah, that's a good one, man. But hey, the hooligan thing and the bagger, especially hooligan, it's it's created a class that's sort of old school, like back in the day,
Yeah.
to where, dude, you could run almost the same set of tires for several rounds.
Really?
It doesn't cost, yeah, man, it doesn't cost much to do. I mean,
The thing doesn't burn tires like our bikes?
I rode the Chief out Daytona, and I think we used two sets of tires.
Wow.
And you could do it. I mean,
Dude.
yeah, if you're going to be super competitive, you might throw some sets at it, but it's a class that allows guys to get out there, and dude, they're a cool group of guys. They're hooligans, like they're
Yeah.
rough, but they're the industry guys that we need. They're the ones they're cutting and chopping and welding and creating and fabricating stuff that is like, whoa, that's impressive. Eric Stahl, right? He's racing a bagger.
Dude, Eric
These
Stahl
guys,
is a
Brian
beast.
Brian Shields, these guys are driving the country themselves, building their bikes themselves, trying to make a grid, load up, go home, and then they're building that same thing for customers. That's what we need. And
Yeah.
and I'll tell you what, sport bike guys, not to hate on at all. I mean, I love sport bikes, but
Like,
sport
here,
bikes,
let me
Jap
roll up
bikes,
my sleeves.
yeah, but hey, you can go buy a sport bike for pretty damn cheap. Not a Harley or an Indian, right?
Right.
they're what, 15, 20, $30,000. You want to go buy a bagger? So those are the people that they've got money to show up to the races and buy the souvenirs, take their families, get them interested, and then
Yeah.
go do the modifications to their bike, you know?
Well, they were doing the modifications to their bikes at Daytona, those fans.
Yeah,
You know, like
pretty cool, man.
outside, it was the weirdest thing, man. I don't
Well, they
know.
set up booths. They do it right there, like
Yeah.
there.
I think they might
Grass
even had a
and
mobile
all.
dyno.
My team's got it. They show up. They've got at Sturgis and all these places. They've got their stuff they set up just for the year. That part of the
No
year for
kidding.
the event. That they open up shop. They do all the dyno runs, the tuning, all this stuff. They close it down. That's it for the year.
Yeah.
And it's a full blown thing. Yeah.
So Royal Josh says the variety of motorcycle brands now racing is incredible too. You know, like
That's
hooligans.
awesome.
I mean, obviously you got some Harleys, Dynas, and shit, right? And then you've got the Indian.
BMW,
Then you got the BMW
the
R19,
electric, the
and
electric
the
bike,
Energica thing that Stefano's riding.
KTM.
Oh yeah, oh
Yep.
yeah, Debrino's KTM.
Yep.
Yeah, dude,
There's
like
a
there's a massive amount of stuff in that class.
it's great. It's awesome. It's a just something. Hey, check this out. So in 21, I roll up over the hill, coming up
By
Laguna
the
Seca.
way, nice pinky.
Oh yeah, you got the same one.
Oh yeah,
Pinky Brothers, dude.
yeah, bro.
It's so sick. It's a way. It's a permanent throttle grip.
Dude,
My
so
son gives me
funny.
shit all the time. So we go up, as soon as you come in the little toll booth Willie at Laguna Seca, and then you come up to turn 5.
Yeah,
So I've got my wife, we're coming up over and just pulling in, and we're turning this way, paralleling the track. Baggers are on track in turn 5.
yeah,
I didn't know baggers even were a thing.
yeah.
And I look over and there's this whoa ripping by. I have it on video. I'm videotaping. I'm like, oh, what the hell is that? I remember telling my wife, and I videotaped it. I get all fired up. I'm like, no way. I said I would never do that. Like, bagger, like, what the hell is that? Here I am doing it. But it was so intriguing right away. Like, it caught my attention. And then I found out, like, I think Heron was doing it, and Garcia, like all these guys are doing this stuff that, dude, it's a draw. You can't help but love it. I don't care if you're a couch racer, like all these silly guys that are just internet guys that know it all these days, or if you're a true racer.
Right.
If you've ridden a bagger, if you've ridden a bike that's not a sport bike, dude, you got to appreciate it, because it's just,
Yeah.
it's gnarly. They're not meant to do what we're doing on them. They're hauling ass, and it's exciting to watch. These guys are no joke, man. It's
Dude, it's
and
super
it's
exciting to
American,
watch.
man. It's
Yeah.
America. Indian
Well,
versus Harley.
I just like it that it's allowed people like the guys I mentioned earlier an opportunity to go racing in national, but then
Yeah.
also like my friends, like Frankie Garcia and those guys just like battling it out. And
they're
Frankie's a
fun.
big dude, and he's able to
He's a
go as
talented
fast as
rider,
he
man.
does, and it's
Yep.
like, he's kind of not built for it, and he's riding a bike that's not built for it, but somehow he makes it work and he goes fast,
It
So,
doesn't really matter. These baggers, I mean, it matters, right? Like poundage, just horsepower and all that
yeah.
stuff. But dude, here's the thing too, with the baggers, since I've came into this sport last year, you've got some talented racers doing it, and the only guys that are going fast on them, they're top notch. They're
Yeah.
either
They're doing
current
times that the 600
sport
guys
bike
are doing.
guys, or they're retired, right? I mean, like
Jeremy
Ben Bostrom,
McWilliams is like
Nick Williams,
11-7, right?
the guy's an animal, but there's a lot of guys that won't touch him because they are gnarly. I'm going to tell you, like, you sit on one and it's just intimidating. They're big, and they're getting better, I think, to the point of mine's not where I want it to be, but they're ergonomically. I sat on O'Hara's bike, and they've got the bars now to where they come across, they've chopped them, they've welded them, they got clip-ons. It's sporty now.
Oh, okay.
They're getting better to where it feels like you're up over the front, like it should be. So mine's still way out here.
You got the ape hangers.
I've got motocross straight bars, man. I'm like,
Okay.
but they're gnarly, man. Like, it takes a certain rider. So I personally appreciate, what Wyman and O'Hara and the guys who are breaking records. I'm telling you, it is no joke. These guys are.
I mean, watching O'Hara full lock going into
At
the
Atlanta.
corner at Atlanta,
Yeah,
I
man.
was just like, okay, dude, no thanks.
Badass.
It was
You know
badass,
what's cool
dude.
about these bikes is that because they're such a long wheelbase, um, if the clutches last, the motors last, you can actually back these things in so good and so smooth.
Yeah.
They're like I said, they're sort of forgiving. If
Yeah.
you're comfortable letting these things hang out there, they're fun to ride, man. They're like, you ask Ben Bostrom, it's the funnest bike he's ever ridden. It's the funnest racing he's ever done. He's not doing it now. I don't know why. The
I
guy's
don't know.
disappeared
Like he
again.
just did that one, right? I don't think he did the whole thing. He just did
He
that
just
one
did a
at Laguna,
handful.
right?
Last one he did was I had a good little race with him at Utah,
Okay.
and that was it.
Oh, at
He's
the
just a
BRL
unicorn,
thing?
man. Yeah, he disappears.
You know what,
It's freaking
dude?
Ben
That
Bostrom.
guy was a champ, dude. Like he could
He's
do whatever he
incredible.
wants. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right?
He is Ben Bostrom. Both those guys, Eric, the
Yeah.
Bostroms, they're the coolest cats. Eric, I just talked to him the other day. He's building homes with his dad.
Oh, no kidding.
Back homes, like they're just those
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah, like I mean, I see his. Ben probably still owns all the Strava KOMs in Malibu, right?
I'm sure he does. He's just an animal. So talented.
Yeah. Well, I've got a comment. It's kind of a dumb one, but I'm gonna call it out because it's one of my guys. But Marcus Jackson is asking about my T-shirt and asking if it's a bagger shirt. It's clearly not a bagger shirt. It's Thunder
Definitely
Hill
not.
shirt, man. I'm rocking a Thunder Hill shirt because TrackDaz has a weekend at Thunder Hill West next month. So
Ooh.
gotta rock
Yeah,
the
you're in
Thunder
my
Hill.
neck of the woods. I'm gonna have to come out and hang out
Yeah,
with you.
dude. June 17th and 18th, we're at Thunder Hill West, the little baby track. So I
Oh,
believe
that's fun.
we're on
That's
the
a good
little
track.
we're on the little track. I think it's like 2 miles or something.
It's
It's
sick.
like a hilly Streets of Willow, basically,
It's awesome, dude.
right?
I just spun like a million laps there. I did a commercial with Bostrom out there just
Oh, did you?
recently and spun a million
Maybe I'll
laps.
have you
It's
come out
so
and
good.
hang with us, dude. But
I'd be down. Yeah.
I think AFM is racing on the big track that weekend, so I'm tempted to bring my R1 up
Really?
there and do both. You know?
Are you still racing?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, you are.
I got the Broham, dude. I've got a 2022 Yamaha R1.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah. So
Is it all Stambolied up? Of course
what's my name, dude?
Oh man. Shoot. Yeah,
Yeah.
you should race. You kidding me?
So
Well, I'll have to pop over. If it works, I'll have to check the old calendar, which
yeah, dude, I'll hit you up
I'd love to come
offline and
hang
do
out.
that. But yeah, that's
Come ride
you
with
know,
you.
and I got to get this in because I've been talking about it at every podcast the last month or so. But basically, I'm riding my bicycle. I'm doing this crazy ride where I'm gonna ride my bicycle from San Francisco to Los Angeles down the coast the first week of October, and
Really?
I'm doing a charity fundraiser thing. It's the ride is organized, but it's raising money for the Arthritis Foundation.
Good for you.
So if you want to donate to that, there's a link to it in the description of this video, and donate away. The goal's $3,500. I'm up to just shy of $2,000 right now.
Nice,
So
dude.
I
Good
got a
for
little
you,
bit of
man.
time. But yeah,
You
so
should hit that
that's
goal.
oh yeah, I think the people that I know in the circle will help make it happen.
That's
But
right. Good old
yeah,
Highway 1 ride. That'll be epic.
yeah, I've never done that.
Oh
I've
man, I
ridden
want to do it.
I read 100 miles last week, which wasn't too bad.
Good for
You know, go ride 100 miles and then get to hang out with Richard Stamboli after, you know, at the shop with the boys. They're like, man,
Nice.
you look like let's see. I think Yosef said that I would look like a meth head, and I was like, whoa, because you know I've lost a bunch of weight.
Yeah.
And but Richard, not to be
How
outdone,
to
said
take that.
he said I looked like a cancer patient. So I was like, you know, because I'm bald. So anyway.
Oh, I mean, dude, you look good, man, for being so old.
Oh well, you're
Just
right
like-
behind me there, buddy.
I know.
So
I want to do
Well,
that
you know-
cycle with you.
well, I'll send you a link to it if you want to
I got a
register
little
for
buddy
it.
here real quick.
Oh yeah. Oh wow. Chubby
This
cheekies.
is Weston, aka Squishy.
Squishy.
Yeah, she's
He's
9
giving-
months old, but
she's
most people are
giving
like,
me a
"What is
look."
she 2 years old? She's just fat.
She's giving me a look.
Say hi. Say hi, Dustin. Yeah.
All right, man. Well, you know what? This has been a good chat, Hawk.
Heck yeah, man.
You know, I wish you the best of luck in your bagger stuff, and man,
Thank
hopefully
you.
we'll see you up north, and you know, have you
Yeah.
come lead us around and show us what's up, and have a good time with us.
I'd be stoked. Absolutely, man. Thanks for
Right
having me
on.
on, and I'll be really stoked to have you up to my place. If you're up in
Oh
the, and you're
man,
only, hey, Thunder Hill's an hour from my place, so if it works, we'll have to
wow,
coordinate. You come to my place, you got a place to stay. We'll ride dirt bikes, 100s. Go supermoto,
okay,
it's 15 minutes away. We'll make a
man,
weekend of it, man.
you're throwing down the gauntlet, man.
Bring your crew up. Yeah, no, that's what
Yeah,
it's
man,
about.
that's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Well,
Well, you
Dustin,
know,
hey, super good
yeah,
to see you and chat with you, man. I appreciate you
yeah,
having me on. And
yeah. Any final words?
final words. Hey, stay tuned this year for the bagger and the hooligan racing. Keep an eye out. We're gonna be hunting it hard, hunting that hooligan
Getting it.
championship bagger. We're gonna be chipping away.
All
And
right.
check out Hawk Mazzotta Moto Camp. Check out the website and the social media. And I've got pretty rad stuff going here. We've got a flat track TT race happening this weekend
Oh wow.
out here at my place, the Cottonwood Classic. It's
The
legit,
Cottonwood
man.
Classic. Okay.
Yeah, it's some badass racing. And we got, remember Tony Myring?
Yeah, I know Tiger Tony.
Tony the
He was like
Tiger.
what was he like 15 when I started
Yeah,
racing?
he's badass. He raced out here last weekend, still
He's
hauling
still
ass.
racing. He's
Yeah,
got to
flat tracking.
be. He's got to be your age, right? Like he's 40
Close
something,
to
right?
it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyways, yeah, man, we
All
got
right,
some pretty
man.
good racing out here, and yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
dude. Thanks for the chat, man. Let's do it again sometime.
Sounds good.
All
Anytime,
right,
man.
buddy.
Right on, Dustin.